All right, so today is our class. It's business planning mid-year check-in. And I love to talk about business planning. I think it's one of the amazing parts about Keller Williams is that we actually work with you on being a smart business owner. And as I mentioned at the team meeting, hold on just a sec. Oh, are you coming to the class? Hold on. Are you joining my class?
Which one is it, the planning?
Yeah.
Is it this one?
Mm-hmm.
So just put it? Okay.
Yep. Come on in.
Okay.
Okay. Have a seat. So as I was saying, what I love about Keller Williams is that we work really hard with our agents to help you be smart business owners. And so, as I mentioned at the team meeting, we have a business planning clinic that we do as part of Keller Williams University every fall. And we always teach that in the fall because we're preparing you for your business next year. Real estate is a quarterly business. And what that means is typically what you start working on today at the very start doesn't show up for 3 months. It takes a client, you may pick up a client today and you're interviewing them, they're interviewing you, you're getting to know each other. There's that initial process, and whether it's a seller or a buyer, with sellers, you're prepping the house and getting it ready for the market. And then you've got market time and then escrow time before it closes. So that's typically a 2 to 3 month process, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, but more so 3 months or so. And then with your buyers, same thing. You pick up a buyer today, you're going to be doing your initial interviewing of each other. Then you're going to be getting them in touch with their lender if they need to get a loan to see how much they can afford. All those initial things you do with buyers before you even start showing properties. Then you're showing properties, you're writing offers, you're in escrow, and then you're closing. So that again is minimum 2 month time period, 3 months, 6 months, it can be longer. So when you think about planning your business for the year, we always look at it as a quarterly business because on average, it's a 90-day cycle for every client. And so we teach business planning clinic in the fall every year to prep you for the following year. So we teach it fourth quarter to prep you for your first quarter of next year would be 2023. So at this point, we're almost mid-year through the year, and we're doing what we would call a mid-year check-in. Now, I've got you guys here today are very new to Keller Williams, so I'm just going to start with the beginning. And are you joining us? Okay, come on. Got one more person joining Tina's. Are you joining my class, Tina?
Is it the master class?
This is the business planning mid-year check-in. Yeah, come on.
I was like looking at what's the class. Let me go out and get the new glasses.
Okay. So, sorry, I knew that if I started, I'd still have people trickling in. So Tina's coming back in to join us. So for you guys who are just getting started, you didn't go to business planning clinic last fall. So we're going to start from the beginning. And where we're going to start is, I'm just going to point out this book right here, which is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Now, the reason why this book is important, so Gary Keller, who's the name behind Keller Williams, helped write this book. Gary Keller, Dave Jenks, and Jay Papazan wrote this book together. And the reason why this book is so important, I always like to start by explaining the importance of this book, is because we live in a world of what I call paid opinion. Everything is how to get rich quick. It's someone's opinion on how to do something. Most of the books you buy are someone's opinion. I always say that our news today is 1 hour of new news a day and 23 hours of paid opinion. So you can go to, like CNN, for example, and there's really not that much new news that happens every day, but they make it last for 24 hours by filling it in with all these panels that give you their paid opinion every hour of their opinion of, what the news is all about. So we definitely live in a paid opinion culture, and we pay lots of people for their opinions. Well, the reason why this book is so important, Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, is because it's not a book of paid opinion. It's actually a book based on research. So when Gary Keller was writing this book, he actually interviewed the top agents in the United States who were already earning over $1 million a year. And he interviewed all of them. And in his interviews, he found that they all had things in common that they were doing to earn over $1 million a year. And so he wrote a book on when you have things that are in common, you would call those systems or patterns, right? They had the same systems showing up. They had the same patterns showing up. So he wrote a book on those systems and patterns that were showing up over and over and over again that he saw in his interviews when he was interviewing the top agents in the country. And by the way, at the time, these were not just KW agents. These were the top agents in all of the United States that he was interviewing. And he found that they had systems that were showing up. So he wrote a book on that. And that book is almost 20 years old. Next year it'll be 20. It's 19 years old. There's supposed to be a new edition coming out. I'm guessing it'll be a 20-year anniversary edition or something. But the research that he did is still relevant, and we still teach on it at Keller Williams today. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the systems that showed up in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And those systems are an easy acronym that you can call ELBO, E-L-B-O. Now, in the chat, I am going to drop, for you guys, for you that are sitting here in the room with me, I have this handout and another handout that I can make copies for you at the end. But in the chat, I'm going to drop it in really quick so I'll have the PDFs in the chat. So if you want to, Gina, if you want to join on Zoom too, so you're getting that, you can. And then I've also got a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to be going over with everybody. So let me just get into Drive really quick and drop the first thing in the chat. The first thing that I'm going to drop in, okay, that didn't work. Sorry, hold on. I've lost let me try this again. Oh, Tina. Great, thank you. Thanks, Abigail.
Recording in progress.
So you're going to have to turn all your volumes off.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so business planning plan. I'm just going to drop the first thing in. Okay, I dropped it in for you guys. So you guys that are on Zoom with me can open up this first part. The only other thing I can do is hand it to you if you want to run me a copy really quick of it. Or you want to wait? Okay. And then I'm going to share the presentation, so you're going to be able to see it up there. Okay. All right. So let me also, thanks, Abigail. Let me also share my screen really quick, and we're going to start with the presentation. Okay. I just have to put it in slideshow mode. Oh. All right, hold on a sec, you guys. I forgot I have to do, because I'm doing this as a hybrid, I've got to move my Zoom over to the big screen so that everybody can see everybody else. So sorry, I forgot to do that part. So let me move Zoom over.
Wait,
I'm
I'm
from-
on camera too.
You are. That's what this owl is. It's a big camera. Okay, hang on. Let me do this. No. Okay, there we go. So everybody can see everybody now. And if Tina talks, they'll be able to see Tina as well. Okay, so now from here, let me share my screen when you guys can all see this together. That did not work. Okay, so stop sharing my screen. Ay, ay, ay. Hold on a minute, you guys. Let me see if that works. It's not letting me stop share. All right, this is so weird. What happened? Huh. Sorry, you guys, I'm having a technical difficulty here. I've lost the share. This won't show up for me. Oh, here we go. I think I got it. All right, sorry. I'm using two different screens, so hold on a sec. I also am gonna have to put the presentation up on this screen too, is what it's doing to me. All right, now I think it's gonna work. There we go. Ta-da! I did it. Okay. And let me just put in slideshow mode from the beginning and we should be good to go. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start talking about business planning moving forward. Sorry about the technical difficulties. And it's really you prepping for the rest of this year as well as 2023. Okay, so a couple of things to keep in mind. We always start at Keller Williams with mindset. Why are you here? So think about why you're here today. Why are you here today taking this class? Why is it important to you? But also, why are you in this business? Why is this business important to you? So think about that. And then also what goes along with that is your big why. A powerful business that's powered by a big why is an unstoppable business. So when you're thinking about why you're in this real estate career versus some other career, and how does it relate to your life and you achieving the life goals that you want to achieve, that's about your big why. So I want you to frame your mind work around that as we take this class together, and that's going to help you set some goals for an amazing business. The other way to think about that is what I'm asking you to do is move from what we call in our course 6 personal perspectives. I'm asking you to move from E to P. E to P means moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Okay, let me give you a great example of entrepreneurial to purposeful when it comes to real estate. Let's say somebody asked you to do an open house this weekend, and you're like, sure, great, I'd love to do an open house for you. You show up a half an hour early, you put up some signs, you go to unlock the door, you go into the open house, you turn on the lights, and you're ready for everybody to come. Buyers show up at the open house, our neighbors show up, possible other sellers show up, and they're asking you lots of questions. And you haven't done any prep work. You showed up at the open house, you were very entrepreneurial, it's a great way to gain clients, but you didn't do any prep work ahead of time. Prep work would have been purposeful. If you had spent a few days before the open house learning what the neighborhood was like, learning what the other properties for sale were like in the neighborhood, possibly knocking the doors of the neighborhood right around the open house to invite people to your open house. Those are things you do that would be more purposeful for doing a purposeful open house, okay? Entrepreneurial is just kind of showing up and winging it. Purposeful is having a plan. And so what we're gonna do in a class like this today, in a business planning class, the very fact that you're here means that you're looking for a plan. So we're going to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful in that. When you move from entrepreneurial to purposeful, what you're going to see is that your ceilings of achievement can go away and you have breakthroughs that turn into more ceilings and then more breakthroughs. So you're willing to break through things and keep moving up. Does that make sense, everybody? Does anybody have any questions about that? Make sense so far? Okay. All right. Just getting your mindset straight. The other thing that I like to talk about is show up as an A student. When you think about C, showing up as a C student, which is average, average typically gets fired. So when you take a class like this and you're showing up at Keller Williams, you're already attracted to Keller Williams, which is a company that loves to help agents build big businesses. We want you to show up as an A student. Really listen to what we're talking about today, and then do the homework, because there's a lot of homework involved in business planning. You can't plan your entire business in the 1 to 1.5 hours that we're going to be here today. You're going to take all the handouts that I'm giving you, and you're going to be spending some time going through those handouts to plan your business for the rest of this year, for 2023 and beyond. So that's being an A student. And so just again, reminder, why are you here today? What's your big why? And then show up as an A student creating a plan. So we're going to talk about what makes an outstanding business plan. Okay. And again, this is based on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. and the research that Gary Keller and the other people who wrote the book did to create this book. Okay, so I put in there my tip. People aim for nothing and hit it with amazing accuracy. What does that mean when I say something like that? People aim for nothing and hit it with amazing accuracy. What does that mean? So part of showing up as an A student is that you actually participate when we're doing a class. You're going to get a lot more out of this if we are able to talk and ask questions and participate versus me just lecturing to you. So does anybody have an idea of what it means when I say people aim for nothing and hit it with amazing accuracy?
Maybe perhaps being prepared.
There, I got everybody. Good job. I have no idea. Robbie, what did you say?
I said being prepared for what you're, what you're like you said, going with intent, and
okay, going with intent. Alexis said having a goal or not having a goal, really. If you're aiming for, so you can aim for nothing or you can aim for something and you're still going to hit it, right? If you picture a target that you're, shooting a bow and arrow or a dart, like picture throwing darts on a dartboard and you're aiming for the dartboard and you're usually aiming for the bullseye, right? So whether you're aiming for something or you're aiming for nothing, you're still going to hit what you're aiming for. So isn't it better to actually have a plan and aim for something than to aim for nothing? Okay, so that's what that means. So when we talk about the Millionaire Real Estate Agent plan, we're talking about ELBO. It's a really easy way to remember the 4 parts of the MREA book. We're going to talk about the economic model, which is your numbers. We're going to talk about the lead generation model, which are your activities. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the budget model and the organizational model. Okay, so let's do this. How well do you all know your numbers? Get out a piece of paper and we're going to start asking you some questions on how well you know your numbers to get started with. So your economic plan, the E and ELBO, are knowing your numbers. That's where you start. These are in order. You have to do them in order. How much money do you want to make in the rest of this year or in all of 2023? Write it down. How much money do you want to make? Do you know? How many people are in your database? Question number 2. How many people are in your database and how many people are in your pipeline? What is the difference between a database and a pipeline? Who has an answer to that? Tina?
So the database is actually knows that has a potential future for doing business. Can be a family, friends.
It's everybody, right?
Everybody.
Everybody.
And the pipeline is like those who express certain timeline for buying and selling.
Right.
And you can actually schedule your business and understand the next 6 or 12 months where your revenue might come from. So that's called your pipeline.
Yeah. So is everybody in your database in your pipeline? No. You could have 1,000 people in a database and not all 1,000 people are going to want to buy or sell right now in the next, say, year. Maybe there's 25 of them in the pipeline of the 1,000. Is everybody in your pipeline also in your database? Yes. So everybody in your pipeline needs to be in your database. When we think about command, we've got the contacts portion of command. That's the database, that's everybody. And then we've got the opportunities portion of command, and that's the pipeline, okay? So your database should consist of the people in my world and everybody else, the people in my world and everybody else. So all the people that you know, right? That's your sphere of influence. And there's certain people that you know better than others. So everybody that you already know in your world, and then everybody that you're going to meet, that's the everybody else. Okay, so 2 questions so far. How much money do I want to make for the rest of this year? How much money do I want to make in 2023? How many people do I have in my database? How many people do I have in my pipeline? What have you produced so far this year? You can also put, if you have production from last year in 2021, what was your 2021 numbers? These are the things that every smart business owner knows. They know their numbers. So what is your volume? What was your volume for so far this year or for 2021? How many units so far this year have you sold or for 2021? And what's your gross commission income? Just 3 markers I'm asking you to know. And if you're just learning this and just getting started, then these are things that you're going to be learning to move forward in the future. Okay, next question. How many contacts have you made so far this year? How many people have you contacted so far this year? Next question. What are your conversion rates? This is where most people do not know their conversion rates. So here's 3 parts for you to track. By the way, top agents know their conversion rate. Okay, what were your conversion rates? Contacts to appointments. So just first, who have you contacted? And then of all the people you've contacted, let's say you're contacting 50 people a week. Well, how many appointments are you getting from that? So contacts to appointments, then appointments that turn into actual contracts, either buyers you're working with or sellers you're working with, and then contracts that turn into closings. Those are the 3 things that you should be checking on your conversion rates. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next question. What percent of your business is sellers and what percent of your business is buyers? All top agents know that. Most top agents also do 50-50. Okay. 50% sellers, 50% buyers. So that's something to think about as a goal. Even if you become a listing agent, Alexis, this is really good for you guys. Even if you're more listing focused, are you bringing somebody on the team to take care of all the buyers? Right? Okay. All right. And what are your cost of sales for the year? And then the next one goes with it. And what are your expenses for the year? So who knows the difference between cost of sales and cost of expenses? Does anybody want to take a try at that one?
So cost of sales are kind of what it takes to get the property ready to market that particular property and everything. The cost of expenses are the cost to promote your business and such.
To run a business, right? Not just promote it, to run it.
Yeah.
So expenses you have whether you're selling something or not. Expenses you have whether you buy or help a buyer or seller turn over a property or not. Okay. Expenses are just running your business. Cost of sales are those expenses that you have that are part of the buying process or the selling process. So transaction coordinator, staging can be part of it. Okay. Does that make sense? Marketing would be an expense. Marketing is more about running your business. So do you know your cost of sales for the year? And if you're just getting started, that's something to be figuring out moving forward. And do you know your expenses?
That's why my business is not growing at the speed I want. I have zero business cost. All I have is like sales cost.
Okay.
So I know where I should go. I should actually invest into my business.
Invest in your business in marketing.
I'm marketing myself as a brand.
Yeah. Investing in your business and marketing to grow your brand. Did you guys catch what Tina was saying there? Are you showing when she talks? Tina was saying that, sure. Tina was saying that she has all of her expenses are in cost of sales. She has very little expenses in her business right now. And she believes that's why she's not growing, which is her realizing that she needs to add to her marketing budget to be marketing herself to grow her business in that way. Okay. All right. So those are the questions to think about in terms of your economic plan. Now, a big part of that is conversion rates. So with your conversion rates, this is a model that we have. It'll be in your handouts that I'm giving you. It starts with all the way at the top, prospecting and marketing for your business, capturing leads. You have leads that you're capturing that are turning into contacts. So when you're capturing leads, you're tracking, you're making offerings, they turn into contacts, you're connecting and making offerings. You're cultivating all of that, which will turn into an appointment, to an active buyer or seller, to under contract to close. And then the cycle starts over. So this is lead generation, adding every lead that you get, whether it's somebody you already know or a new lead, putting that into your database. And then from the database, you're moving your active buyers and sellers into the sales pipeline, which we call opportunities in Command. Okay, so this is a good thing to look at. It just kind of explains the lead generation cycle. Any questions before I move on from it? I have a couple of questions I'm going to ask you on the next slide, but do you have any questions for me? Okay, so the next slide, ask yourself these questions. How many units do you need to close to hit your goal? How many units? If you, let's say your goal is 500,000. Tina, you and I talked about this the other day. How many units would you guys say around here is 500,000?
12.
12 units? Okay.
No, 15.
15. I'm going to go 15 to 20 depending on the price point. So 15 to 20 units to hit 500,000. Around, I'm still going with about 40 units for $1 million around here. I know the prices have been going up, but if you just use $1 million as average, which I understand is getting low, $1 million is all of a sudden become more of a lower price point. If you're doing $1.5 million, it might be more like 30 to 35 to hit $1 million, but let's just go with 20 units to hit 500,000. And then what percentage of that would be buyer and what percentage of that would be seller? Okay, I would like to say that that's, if we're saying 20 to hit 500,000, then it's 10 buyers and 10 sellers. Okay, 50-50, remember? How many contracts do you need to sign to hit your goal? So this is where you start talking about your conversion rates. So how many units do you need to hit your goal? How many oh here, let me put my cursor up here. How many units do you need to hit your goal? How many contracts do you need to sign to hit your goal? Well, how many appointments do you need to go on to hit your contract sign goal? And then how many leads do you need to generate to hit your appointment goal? Do you guys see where that funnel starts? So this question is actually right up here. How much lead generation do you need to do to get all the way down here? Okay. But it starts down here by saying, well, how many units do I want to hit my goal? If my goal is 500,000, then I need to close 20 units. And what are my conversion rates? Am I converting 100% of everything? Probably not. So I probably need to get more buyers, do more buyer appointments than I do seller appointments. We're still in a seller's market, so most of our listings, probably almost 100% of our listings are selling, but it's definitely not all of our buyers that we're converting into a closed buyer. I think probably you guys should go with a 50-50 rate on buyers. For every 2 buyers, you're getting 1 to close. You don't, yours is higher than that.
Yeah, it depends on the first 2 years of last year. Mine was really high, but it's getting down.
It's going down. Well, that's the thing, because it's getting tough on buyers because with the interest rates and everything. So sellers, we're still closing almost all of our sellers. So maybe you give yourself a 75 to 85% conversion rate on sellers. And then buyers, until you've been in the business for a while and you're really tracking, if you have not been tracking, maybe you track at a 50% conversion rate. Now, on your appointments, every appointment you go on, are you getting a contract signed? That's another question to ask yourself. Okay, so it's not just of all the buyers and sellers you already have a contract with, are you getting them to close? Are you getting every single seller appointment you go on? Are you getting the seller to sign the listing? On every single buyer appointment you go on, are you getting the buyer to agree to work with you? So there are different things that you're going to start tracking and learning. And you guys, if you haven't done it before, that's okay. Start today and start tracking it so that you can track it and know where you're going for the future. That's the only way you can reach improvement, is if you know where your numbers are and then you look at them and you say, well, if I have a 50-50 conversion rate on all my listing appointments, maybe I need to work on my listing appointment. Maybe I need to work on my closing skills to get to a 75% conversion rate on listing appointments. With the buyer appointments, if I'm doing 50-50 conversion rate, so for every 2 buyers, I'm closing 1. Am I working with buyers who are actually ready, willing, and able? Do I need to find buyers that are more able right now? Okay. So those are things you're going to ask yourself. And those are all questions to help build your skills. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions for me on that?
Makes sense.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. Thank you for participating. When I used to teach, gosh, this was years ago. When I used to teach in college, I would throw candy at everybody who participated. I would like, you get a piece of candy. So, okay. Next slide is now, okay, so we did the E in the elbow. We did the economic model. Now we're going to go to the L in the elbow, the lead gen plan. So we're going to start talking. So remember, E was your numbers. The economic model is your numbers. L are your activities. The lead gen plan are your activities. So here's another quiz for you. Here's your questions. What is your method or methods of prospecting? Okay, prospecting and marketing are different. Does anybody know what the difference is? The main difference is between prospecting and marketing. Robbie?
Prospecting being just the means of kind of taking the effort to go out and just find clients, you know,
Meet people, go out and meet people.
meet people, network and calling and door knocking.
And then what's
such.
marketing?
Well, marketing is just kind of promoting your brand.
Right, okay, so prospecting thank you, Robbie. Prospecting takes your time, and it's usually more of your personal effort. You go out and meet people, open houses, door knocking, networking events, prospecting. Marketing takes more of your money. So time, prospecting, marketing, money. Marketing is, prospecting is more proactive, and marketing is more passive, active and passive. Sorry, not proactive. Prospecting is more active, marketing is more passive. So it takes more money because you're sending out flyers, you're building your brand, can be doing a lot of social media stuff, which social media is very inexpensive, but marketing tends to take more of your money. Does that make sense? So that's the difference. So what method or methods are you doing of prospecting? We could brainstorm, and I believe in your handouts, it actually talks about the different types of prospecting that you can do. And we could brainstorm at least 10. But there's only one of you. So I always recommend that you focus on 3. Don't try to do more than 3. Do 3 and do 3 of them well. So for prospecting, one of them could be open houses. One of them could be social media. And social media is if you're actually putting yourself out there to gain new clients, not just staying in touch with everybody you already know on social media, but putting yourself out there on social media to gain new clients. And then maybe door knocking is one of your things. Could be going to networking events like Robbie mentioned. Maybe you're networking. You've got some networking things that you're doing in the community to gain clients. So pick 3 things. A couple others you might be thinking, well, how did Laura get to 10? Well, open houses, door knocking, farming, which door knocking can be a part of farming or not, cold calling, for sale by owners, expired listings. There's a lot of different things you can do, and I'm telling you to pick 3 because there's only one of you. I want you to pick 3 and do 3 of them well. The point in prospecting is to add people that you don't know yet to your database. You've got your sphere of influence already. You're reaching out to those folks that you already know, and prospecting is to meet people that you don't know yet. Okay. So the first question was, what are your methods for prospecting? The next question is, how often are you doing it? Be honest, really, how often are you doing it? Are you doing it every day? Are you doing it once a week? Hey, you're your own business owner. As a real estate agent, you own your own business. So how often are you really prospecting? Jenny,
Once a week.
Once a week?
I said once a week.
All right, she's honest. She's doing it once a week. And what is that?
Once a week.
Making
Average,
phone
yeah.
calls, doing an open house. What are you doing once a week?
Yeah. Well, it's not like a open house, not once a week. I'm doing let's see, networking.
Networking. Okay, great. All right.
Yeah.
So possibly if you want to grow your business more, it might be important to think about doing it 4 to 5 times a week.
Oh,
Just like you would do with a job, you're showing up. It's that part of real estate where you decide every day if you're clocking in and clocking out. In a job, you know, people would call it a real job, not a real estate job. Do you clock in and clock out every day? I know Alexis is here every single day, right? So I see Alexis, she and I are in the office together every day. She clocks in on her own. You clock in on your own and you clock out on your own. I don't think that nobody's really making you do that, right? But you're showing up every day and you're doing a lot of cold calling and a lot of different lead gen efforts, right? Okay. So you have to decide for yourself. Yeah, you have to decide for yourself, what are your hours every day that you're devoting to your business to grow your business? Okay, third question. What is your marketing plan and your follow-up plan? So remember, we talked about the difference between prospecting and marketing. Well, what's the marketing plan? I know at Keller Williams, we really want you making money before you're spending a lot of money on marketing. So put a little bit of money into your budget for marketing, and then as you're closing transactions, you can add more to that budget. And what's your follow-up plan? So for every single lead that you've generated during your prospecting and marketing efforts, how are you following up with them? I always say, what's the point in generating a lead if you're not going to follow up with the lead? What's the point? So what does that follow-up plan look like? Number 4 is I guess I have other points on the follow-up plan. Are you following up weekly? Are you following up monthly? Are you following up quarterly? What does that look like? And we have some handouts here that recommend 36 touch is how many times we recommend that you follow up with someone a year. So it's 36 times a year. That would be 3 times a month, 12 times a quarter. So 3 times in a month, 12 times in a quarter, and 36 times a year. If you're reaching out to people that way, you're gonna that many times you're gonna get to 36. Doesn't mean you're calling them 3 times a month. It could be a call, it could be an email, it could be some social media posts and getting some interaction. It could be mailing them stuff. It can be sending out market stats. There's a lot of different ways that you can be reaching out to people. It can be client events. That's also a part of your annual plan. Okay, so what is your marketing plan and what's your follow-up plan? Are you doing it weekly, monthly, quarterly? How many METs are in your database? METs are the people you've already met. So in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, we talk about our METs and our have-not METs. There's 2 types of people in the world, the people you've met and the people you haven't met. So the METs are the people that are already in your database. They're part of your sphere of influence. And some people you know better than others. So back to that idea of a bullseye, the people you know the best would go in the center of your bullseye, and the people that you know less and less might still be in your database, but they're farther out in your bullseye. Okay, next question. How many have-not METs are you adding to your database monthly? In reading the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and if you don't have a copy, Stacy and I have copies in the office. I think we sell them to you for $10, so you can come get a copy from us. In reading that book, they're suggesting, I think, first you get your database to 300, then 600, then 1,000. And so if you don't have a minimum of 300 in your database at this point, then you want to be adding new people to it that you're reaching out to. So think about just some numbers around there. Okay, and then the next question, how many leads are you converting to appointments and then contracts and then closings? Remember, this is conversion rates. How many leads are you converting to appointments, which then turns into contracts, which then turns into closings? So this is the L in the elbow. We had the economic model, then the lead generation model. And this next sheet here, and I believe I've got this in your handouts as well. This is just information when we talk about the transaction life cycle. And this one says listings, but you can use the exact same one for buyers. So it says listings here, but again, you can use the exact same one for buyers. Every single client has a transaction life cycle. It starts out with lead generation. You generate a lead and you gain a buyer or a seller. All right. Again, remember back to my question, what's the point in generating a lead if you're not going to follow up with it? So you should actually add to this word follow up. You should say follow up and conversion. So you generate your lead. This is a very short part of the cycle. The follow-up can take a while. Follow-up can be a few months, it can be a few years, it can be a lifetime, because if you're creating a business for life and creating clients for life, then you're going to always be following up with them. Okay. And then transaction management is actually the short part of the cycle when you actually get somebody into contract. We would call that escrow. And then the end is a closing. And this is asking you what your sources are for listings and for buyers. What are your lead generation sources? We talked about that a little bit ago. Open houses, door knocking, networking events, cold calling, for sale by owners, expireds, and social media. There's different things that you're doing to gain sources for listings and buyers. Again, I know this says just listings on it, but you can also add the word buyers there. So the question to ask yourself is, what happens once you have a lead? So right here, that's the one event. Generating a lead is a one-time event. It's the follow-up that's going to get you to the end, to the finish line. Okay. So what happens once you have a lead? And that's where you're deciding what your follow-up plans are going to look like. Any questions so far?
Not at the moment.
All right, is everybody following me? Does this all make sense when you're thinking about building your plan for your business?
Yes, the only reason I'm here is just to remind me myself how important is to have a business plan. The most important thing for that line in life cycle is actually lead gen. Follow-up is way easier than lead gen. Transaction management, analyze and everybody can do it. So lead gen,
Yeah.
you guys give it to me away. It should be like 99%.
Well, you don't have any of this if you don't do this.
Exactly, that's the number one. All others are 0,
Yeah.
0, 0.
Yeah, but most people fall short on follow-up. Well, both. That's why I spend the most of the time in this class on the economic model and the lead gen model, because the budget model and the organizational model don't even matter if you don't focus on the first two. And where most of you guys are here in this office, we don't have huge teams that are earning $1 million in this office, okay? Once you're building a team that's earning $1 million, you're really focusing more on the organizational model, because that's growing a team. Most of our agents here are solo agents or a small team. And so you guys are still growing this part, okay? So until you nail these parts, and budget always matters. So we are going to talk about budget model a little bit, but organizational model for most of you is really your, and we'll talk about it right now. What's your first hire in your organizational model as a solo agent?
Assistant.
No.
No.
Transaction coordinator.
Oh,
See, you already have that,
I
Tina.
had that for the first year.
Your first hire is your transaction coordinator. You guys pay, okay, as part of your expenses or your cost of sales, to hire a transaction coordinator to get that paperwork done, okay? That's a lot of leverage. Hiring a team is about leverage. It's about saving your time for the lead gen and the lead follow-up. We don't want you just pushing paper around. That's what the transaction coordinator is for. You need to be in front of people, closing on appointments, closing contracts, getting people into contract. One of the things I like to say is, as my business really took off before I decided to become a team leader, as I was still actively selling real estate, every time I got somebody into contract, I was in escrow, I was like, okay, where's the next piece of business coming from? I did not like closing an escrow without having something else in escrow. I always wanted to be closing, okay? So you want to get that momentum in your business. And the only way to do that is to continue to lead gen and lead follow-up. What happens with newer agents when they get into escrow is they start pushing papers around and being worried about paper details and not doing lead gen and lead follow-up. So once you get into escrow, you've got to continue to do lead gen and lead follow-up. All right. Yeah, you have to take care of the transaction as well, but there's a lot of people, the escrow officer, the lender, and the transaction coordinator that can get a lot of that done for you. So first hire is always a transaction coordinator. The second hire would be an admin, an assistant that's helping you either get marketing done, maybe transaction coordination. It's helping with that kind of leverage. I'm not going to go much further beyond that in terms of hiring a team, because you guys don't really have the production to need somebody yet. Okay, so I like what Tina said though. None of the other stuff matters unless we're doing lead generation. The follow-up doesn't matter and the transaction management doesn't matter. So Gary Keller always says you have two parts to your business: lead generation and everything else. If you're not generating leads, there's no business to be had. Okay, so let's move on now and talk about your business plan 2022. You could say 2022 or 2020 and 2023 for this. Let's talk about planning tools for success. So we are very famous at Keller Williams for creating planning tools for you. Okay, we have lots of great tools that we recommend that you use. The first one is the GPS. GPS stands for goal. A GPS, you know, it stands for what you use in your car to get from one location to another, or even if you're hiking or whatever, you're using a GPS to get from one location to another. So we borrowed that idea of a GPS. How do I get from point A to point B or point A to point Z? And we turned it into saying it stands for your goal, your priorities, and your strategies. So you pick one goal per GPS. You can have plenty of goals in your life, but you're going to create a plan for each one separately. So you're going to have your goal. What is your goal? So maybe my goal is to earn $500,000. That's the big goal. And then you're going to create P, priorities or plans to reach that goal. Well, what are my priorities? One of them would be lead generation. And then what types of lead gen I'm doing. Then you're going to create strategies to complete each priority. Okay, so GPS, goals, priorities, or strategies, or goals, plans, and steps, whichever way you want to say it. You set one goal, you set priorities to reach that goal, and you set strategies under each priority to reach each priority. So if my goal is to earn $500,000, then one of my priorities would be lead generation. And then my strategies might be my 3 different types of strategies. It might be open houses, door knocking, and social media. That's one of our planning tools for success. And it's in your handouts also. The other planning tool, we call it a 411. It's also a catchy phrase because in the history of the United States, you would dial 411 to the operator. I don't even know if operators exist anymore, but back in the day, you used to dial 411 to get information. That was the number you dialed into your phone to ask for information questions. So we borrowed that and we created a 411 planning tool, which really the way we look at it is more of a 114. So it's what will you do? Let me just show you a couple things. What one annual goal, which should be the same as the goal here, one annual goal, which turns into a monthly goal, which turns into 4 weeks. What are you going to do each week? So if your annual goal is to earn 500,000, well, how many closings do you need monthly to make that happen? Do you need 2 closings a month? And then what do you need to do weekly to hit 2 closings a month to hit your annual goal? So it turns into a planning tool that really gets into the basics every single week of clocking in and clocking out in this job. What am I doing weekly to hit my monthly goal, which in turn helps me hit my annual goal? This is what they look like. So the GPS is my one thing for the year, your big goal, and then you can create some priorities. It doesn't have to be 3. We don't recommend it's more than 3 though, because then it's too confusing of a plan. And it doesn't have to be 5 strategies under each priority. They're just suggesting not to go over 5. But it could be that you have 2 priorities and that you have maybe 3 strategies under each priority. And then this is what the 411 looks like. So again, you're talking about what the annual goal part is, what does that turn into monthly, and then what does that look like weekly? And they gave you a few hints here to help you out with that. Any questions?
No
So I'm going to
question.
move on. No question. Thank you, Robbie. I'm going to move on and we're going to talk about budgeting a little bit because budgeting is still really important. In order for you to be a smart business owner, you have to budget well. So budgeting is really important. So we're going to talk about you being a smart business owner. Are you tracking your expenses? Save all your receipts, write on the back of your receipts what the receipt is for. And then put all your receipts in an envelope or wherever you put them. Or if you're fancier than that, I know there's apps out there that you can convert all the receipts. Are you using a P&L? What does P&L stand for?
Profit and loss.
Profit and loss statement. That's a monthly profit and loss statement. What were your profits for the month? What were your losses for the month? If you start doing profit and loss statements monthly, which I do have the handouts for you on that, when you go to do your taxes, it gets super easy because you've got it all organized.
Excuse me.
Yes.
So can we have that document? I do need the form.
Yeah, I have all of this for you guys. I will make copies of it. It's right here.
Do you have a PDF?
I put it in the chat
Okay, so
already.
the chat.
That's what it's already in the chat.
Thank you so much.
So in the thing I put in the chat, the link I put in the chat for you guys already, the PDF it's already there for you. Okay, what are your operating expenses? What are your cost of sales? Okay, who can tell me what's the difference between an operating expense and a cost of sale? Besides Tina. Do you remember?
Well,
Robbie, do you remember?
yeah, well, the cost of sale are those that go into the cost of the transaction. You know, the TC, the TC or I'm just whatever it is, the staging, you know, whatever it is that you're doing to go with that particular sale. And as far as the operating expenses are just the expenses to run your business.
Yeah, expenses are everything that it takes to run your business, whether you're making any money or not. Cost of sales go along with the making money part. So whatever's going on with your buyer sales and your listing sales, your seller sales. Thank you. So operating expenses, cost of sales. Are you leading with revenue? What does that mean? It means don't spend money if you're not making it. Are you leading with revenue? You got to make money first before you spend it. We try really hard to help you when you're starting this career, not to spend too much money. Yes, there are some basic operating expenses that you're going to have every year in your real estate business. And there's a lot of other shiny new objects that get thrown at you all the time. This is going to make you successful. This is going to make, buy this, buy this, buy this. We try really hard to help you not spend a lot of money on the shiny new objects until you're closing some transactions and making some money. And then you add some money into your marketing budget. And hopefully you're being very smart about how you're spending that money. So are you leading with revenue? Are you tracking your ROI? What is ROI? Return on your investment. If you're spending money on something, are you getting a return on it? Are you actually getting, if you're doing, like a perfect example would be Zillow leads. If you're paying for Zillow leads, are you actually getting leads that turn into transactions that turn into closings? All right. Or are you spending money on something that you're actually not making any money on? I'm going to give you another example of that. This is one I like to give. So this is an agent that I've known for many, many years in Santa Cruz. Remember, you guys all know my selling business was in Santa Cruz. She's one of the top agents in all of Santa Cruz, has been for years. And she spends a ton of money to make sure her name shows up first on all the search engines for Santa Cruz. But I'm going to tell you, most of her businesses comes from referrals. So it's important. We all need to show up on search engines. We all need SEO, search engine optimization. We all need to show up because people are Googling you, they're checking you out. They want to make sure you're legitimate and that you show up. So yes, it's important. But she's been running her business for 30 plus years. Most of her business is repeat and referrals. Okay, they're checking her out a little bit, but does she need to spend the amount of money she's spending to make sure she shows up at the top of all the search engines? Is she getting is that where her leads are coming from? Is she getting a return on her investment? That's just another example. Did somebody have a question?
Well, I had a kind of a comment, I guess, you know, with getting like a Google business listing, and they require, you know, to send like a code or activation code to the office or something like that to basically activate it. So because one of the things I needed to do is check my mail over there because it was supposed to have been sent over.
No, you need to let Raymond know that that's coming to you. It comes as a postcard that they get thrown away. So if you're doing that, Robbie,
okay,
let Raymond know. I'm actually waiting for one to come for me right now, and I had to notify Raymond because it probably got thrown out, and I asked him to send another one. So it's just a small postcard that I mean, we are putting stuff in your mailboxes, but sometimes stuff like that looks like junk mail. So please let
Okay.
Raymond know that you're expecting one of those Google postcards to come. to you.
Yeah, I checked it on Thursday during the last coaches meeting and I didn't
Okay.
see it in there. And so I went
He
back
said
on
he
there and it
gets
said,
them all the time, and sometimes they're not even addressed to anybody. So
All right,
hopefully
sorry.
they
Okay.
addressed it to you. If it was addressed to you, he should be putting in your mailbox, but notify him and let him know that you're expecting one. Okay.
I will do.
Okay. All right. So back to, so that tracking your return on your investment. And then are you playing red light, green light with your expenses? Red light, green light, it's that game that we played when we were kids. Basically what that means is it's back to that shiny new object syndrome that happens in real estate. You're going to find, you get emails all the time. You're getting people calling you, trying to get you to buy stuff. You're at events and people are offering stuff to you. Red light means stop, look at what it is, learn about it, decide if it fits into the plan, if it fits into your plan. And then do you have the money to pay for it? Okay, green light, pay for it. If it doesn't fit into your plan, it's not part of what you're doing. Like, for example, let's say it's a cold calling tool, but you're not even cold calling in your business. It's not even a part of your plan. Well, then don't pay for it. So red light, don't pay for it. So red light just means stop, pause, think about it, look, see if you have the money for it and if it fits into your plan. Green light, go, pay for it if it does fit into your plan, but red light, don't pay for it if it doesn't fit into your plan. So it's just a really good mental check. It's kind of like, I know some couples have rules of they won't spend, you know what, $500 without checking on each other. Or I've learned in budgeting classes just for your personal finances. If you're in a store and it's going to be more than $500, walk out of the store and think about it before you pay for it, kind of thing. So it's just a red light, green light check. Okay. Any questions on the budget model? That's helping you be a smart business owner. And these are all the things that we want you thinking about when you're thinking about your budget. P&Ls are really important to use and they make your taxes much easier. I want to say one other budget thing that I find is really important for anybody starting in a business. Have separate accounts. Okay. So just very simply what I mean by that is I bank at Chase and I have my personal checking account and my personal savings account. Okay. All my personal life stuff. Then I open another account and I have a business checking account and a business savings account, separate. They're separate from each other. Okay. So every time I close on an escrow, that check goes into my business checking account. And then I put 50% of it into the savings account, the business savings account. The reason so why am I putting 50% in the savings account? Because you got to pay taxes. And you're usually going to be at a 33% tax bracket or higher. So I cushion it with 50% so that I can put some of that money into retirement. So if I'm putting money into an IRA or anything else, 50% will usually mean that I can put some of that money into a retirement account. Okay. If you're just getting started and 50-50 feels like not enough, you've at least got to be putting 35% into your savings account to pay your taxes and expenses. Okay. So that leaves 50% in the business checking account. And from there, pay yourself a salary into your personal checking account or savings, whichever. Okay. That keeps everything separate when you're doing your taxes. Don't put your closing checks into your personal checking account. Create a business account so you can do your taxes. And then everything you pay for in your business, get a business credit card that goes with that account or a debit card that goes with that account, and you're paying for everything out of that checking account, out of that business account. And then when you go to do taxes and your P&Ls and everything else, it gets a lot easier. Okay. Was that too basic? Did everybody already know that? I hope you did. So that's budget model stuff for you to think about. Now, organizational model. Okay, we're at the O and elbow, ELBO. Are you a solo agent or are you on a team? First of all, everybody has a team. Even if you are a solo agent, you have lots of people that support you on your team. So I want you to think about that team mentality. Everybody has lenders they use, they have escrow officers they use, they have home inspectors, pest inspectors, lots of different vendors that we use in our business that really are a part of our team that we couldn't do it without them. So remember, even if you feel like you're a solo agent, when you're doing your value proposition during your buyer and seller appointments, you want to be pointing out every single person on your team that helps support the client, because the stagers, the painters, the plumbers, all those people we work with, especially the escrow officers and the inspectors and the lenders, they are a huge part of your team. Transaction coordinator also huge. Everybody here at the office that's part of your executive leadership team, we're all a part of your team. So all those people are part of your team. Nobody is really a solo agent. And there are people in our office that do have teams. So again, like I said, your first hire is your transaction coordinator. You want to focus on your 20-80 rule. Does anybody know what the 20-80 rule or the 80-20 rule is?
%20 of your productivity or actions lead to 80% of your business or something like that.
Yes, good, very good. So 20%, those are the most important things you're doing. Those are your money-making activities. They should lead to 80% of your results. So this is the lead gen, okay? The most important activities are going to lead to your biggest results. So you should be focusing on 20% lead gen activities, and then you're hiring people like a TC to focus on the 80% of activities that don't lead to money-making results. Pushing papers around doesn't lead to money-making results. So you want to focus on the 20% lead gen and hand the 80% off to a transaction coordinator or an assistant. Okay, focus on rock and roll. That's in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. What is your role and what is your big rock? When we think about big rocks, it's that 20% activity that I need to be doing that's going to lead to 80% of my results. So the big rock is what, Tina? What's the big rock in real estate? You said it. What's the thing that you're working on? Lead gen. Lead gen. If you don't do that, nothing else matters, right? So the big rock is lead gen, and your big role is to grow your business by lead generating. So that's your biggest role. Now, as you grow in a team, your roles may change more into a training role and a leadership role, depending on where you're at in your team. And we focus a lot more on that in other classes that we have that support the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book at the higher levels. So we've got our career visioning courses and lots of other courses that are teaching you how to build a team at the higher levels. Hire an admin before you hire a buyer's agent. That's another one of my tips. Why would I hire an admin before I hire a buyer's agent? Well, you ask yourself a question: how do these people usually get paid? How does an admin get paid? They're hourly, right? They're either hourly or they're on a salary. So they're 25 bucks an hour, something like that, or they're on some sort of salary. How does a buyer's agent get paid? Commission. So buyer's agents are way more expensive than admin. So before you decide to hire a buyer's agent, and Alan talks about this in his classes where he's teaching about building teams as well, always hire an admin first for that leverage, to leverage off those 80% activities that you don't need to do so you can focus on the 20% activities, okay? Hire an admin before a buyer's agent. Any questions on any of the organizational model stuff? Okay, I think we're at, I'll go through a couple things, but I have a couple other things I want to show you. So we just focused on the economic model, knowing your numbers, the lead gen model, your activities, and we talked about the budget model a bit and the organizational model. Let's do your skill sets for 2022 and beyond. So these are things for you to think about so that you're consistently growing your skills. Calendar, time blocking, winning the day, clocking in and clocking out. How are you winning the day? Time blocking for lead generation, time blocking for appointments, practicing scripts, consultations for better conversion rates, educational growth plan. What books and podcasts are you listening to or reading? For some reason, these are, let's do it this way: goal tracking systems, coaching and accountability. Here's an example of a calendar time blocking. that you can do on your calendar. I'm a fan of color coding. So I create like a key up here at the top. So everything in yellow is something that's learning based. Everything in green is a money-making activity. It's lead gen and lead follow-up. The lighter green are business tasks. The purple are, it's more of a bold color. It's for my bold days. So seller and buyer appointments. And then this sort of salmon pink color are my personal. So you'll see how I created a clock in and clock out schedule, gave myself time for exercise every morning. I gave myself time for lunch every day and for dinner with the family every night, as well as a day off. I gave myself time for learning. This is an example that's an Ignite month, which we just happen to be in now. So it would be taking a class like Ignite, then doing script practice, then doing my lead gen and lead follow-up, then having lunch, inputting my lead gen and lead follow-up into Command, practicing my offers, presentations, my skill building, and then going on appointments sometimes in the evening, and definitely appointments on the weekends or open houses on the weekends, okay? If you don't have an appointment scheduled for the afternoon, what should you do in that afternoon?
Lead gen?
More lead gen, do more lead. If the lead generation that you did in the morning didn't turn into appointments for the afternoon, then you should be doing more lead gen in the afternoon. This is a win the day formula. You guys can take a picture of it really quick if you need to.
You want to share a screenshot and just send it?
I have it, yeah. I don't know if I had it as part of the handouts or not, but I have it as a screenshot already and I can send it. You guys email me, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's really easy to create these keys at the top this is Google Calendar. You just create a key at the top by making it an all-day event. So I just went in here and I just put on Monday learning is my key, or it doesn't matter what day of the week, it's just my key at the top. I can look at the top and I can know, oh, okay, everything down here that's yellow means I'm learning. Everything down here that's green means I'm lead generating. Everything here means that's my time for appointments. You guys get what I mean?
One question. How well you follow up with this calendar?
That's up to you.
Yeah.
This is a suggestion. This is one of the things about real estate. Nobody's making you clock in or clock out every day. You're in business for yourself. And I think this is where a lot of people fall short, is they have a really hard time organizing that business. Now, you don't have to totally stick to this. This is just showing you an example. If you've got kids that you need to pick up from school, well, absolutely, you got to put that kind of stuff in your calendar. You've got to block first your personal time stuff. Everybody's got to eat. You should all be getting some exercise. We all need at least one day off. You see that this is a 6-day calendar. I'm working 6 days on this calendar. If you want to take 2 days off, then you've got to figure out how to do that in a real estate career. Okay. It means you're probably going to take Friday off so that you can work one of the weekend days. So it's up to you. I'm not saying that everybody has to follow this calendar. This is just showing you an example of an organized calendar. And what I've learned in all of my time management classes is if you're trying to book appointments here in the afternoon and you don't have them booked, then you should be doing more lead generation to the point where you're getting all your appointment times booked. Now, yes, I put these as 1-hour appointments. This might be a whole afternoon with one buyer, because if you're showing buyers or property, it could take more than 1 hour. It could be that one buyer for the whole afternoon. Okay. Does that make sense? It's a win the day formula.
I'd like to add a little on.
Yes.
Because of the market shift, I feel like I need to pump myself up. That's why I'm here. And I actually met an agent this weekend while I'm doing my buyer showings. He's only 6 months into the business and he has like 3 listings. I was asking, his name's Carlos. Carlos, he's working in 95124, 128, that area. I was asking him, he said, Tina, I don't know every day for 2 hours. Yeah. Every day for 2 hours. And then now I know that's a real person, that's real business, and that's why they succeed. And so when I look at my lagging performance, I know who to blame. Yeah. And I use the calendar all the time. However, I put into my calendar, I never really follow up. And I'm trying to figure out what might be the best way to fill my calendar that's realistic and doing it. Everybody has their own way of doing business, so find out what that was for you.
Yeah.
And I'm still getting my business, I'm still here with my license, to speak more specifically. I'm still finding that one.
Yeah.
If I can be like that, I think I'll be $1 million agents next day, seriously.
And the other part to add, I think you used accountability as a word just a second ago. That's the other part that's really important is, do you have somebody that's holding you accountable, whether it's a coach or an accountability partner? Maybe it's another agent in the office. One of my suggestions is find an accountability partner that you can practice scripts with, practice, if you need practice on your skills, it's somebody you can practice with, but also someone that you're holding accountable to goals. So if you're going to set a goal of, I'm going to lead generate 10 hours a week, which is what your Carl was doing, then you meet with your accountability partner on Monday and you tell them what your goal is for the week. And then you hook up with them again on Friday to check in. And you owe each other a Starbucks card or $100 or whatever if you didn't hit your goal for the week. Okay, you each give each other your goal on a Monday, and then Friday check in with each other. And if you achieved your goal, you don't owe anybody anything. Treat yourself to a Starbucks instead or whatever. But if you didn't hit your goal, put some money in there, some accountability that way or whatever it might be. Sometimes those are really helpful ways to help you stay on track if you're not feeling like you can do it on your own. Yeah. Okay, I want to show you guys a couple of other things really quick that I think are important for you to see. So let me end. Oh my gosh, let me end it this way. All right, hang on a minute. Oh. All right, I think I can do it this way. So there's a couple of things that you guys can do inside of Command to help you guys track everything. And I want to make sure you're aware of it. So I'm going to drag my Command over here really quick and show you guys. And let me just hit share. Okay, a couple of things in Command I want to show you. So inside of Command, you can actually go here to reports. I'm going to click on reports. And you can actually set your goals here. I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can click on goals and you can click on this plus sign right here and you can set your goals for the year. So you click on goal setting and then what should I expect to get out of this guide? Drive your business forward, set the goals that move the needle and plan your trajectory. So you just click on get started and then scroll down and it's going to ask you questions. This year, 2022, what year are you setting your goals for? What is the annual profit goal? And then it just goes down and it asks you questions, okay? And then you're gonna click next. So I really recommend that you use Command to set your goals. That's one thing I wanted to show you in Command. The other thing I wanna make sure you guys are utilizing Command is the opportunities. Every single agent in the office uses opportunities when you get into contract. But you should actually be using opportunities as a pipeline tool to track every single one of your buyers and your sellers. So you'll see in opportunities, it shows all the possible sellers, who you're cultivating, who you've had an appointment with, who you're active with, and who's under contract. And the same with your buyers, who you're cultivating, who you have an appointment with, who you're active with, who you're under contract, who you've closed with. You can use, so remember, you've got contacts here for every single contact that you have, but opportunities is where you want to track your pipeline. I know Alan Wang just taught a class on this recently where he's showing you guys, he tracks every single seller and buyer in opportunities. Another cool thing is if you don't like to look at it this way where they've got it separate.
Laura,
Yeah.
what did you say the goal? I need Command.
Right here in reports. Reports.
Oh, reports. I never used that one.
Yeah, that's where it is. And then at the top, it says set goals. So the other thing that you can do in opportunities is you can click this view up here. It says all opportunities. And to me, this looks more like a pipeline. It shows everybody. Okay. So you can actually sort it where it'll show all my buyers and then all my listings. Okay. You can actually sort it so you can really look at, well, where are they at? Which phase am I in? So I highly recommend that you put people into contacts And then as they become active buyers and sellers, you move them into opportunities so that you don't lose that information. You're tracking every single person. Okay? Just wanted to make sure that I was pointing that out to you guys. Any questions on that?
Not at the moment.
Okay, where's my stop share? Here it is. It's stop share shows up here, which is what was confusing me. All right, I wanted to show you guys that part. And then the final thing is I've got one more thing I'm going to drop in here for you. So I gave you guys, oh, thank you, Abigail, the Business Planning Clinic mid-year check-in. I gave you guys the handouts for that. I also am going to drop in the chat here one more resource for you. I'm going to drop in here the Business Planning Clinic student manual for you to also have. When you take Business Planning Clinic in the fall, this student manual will be given to you, and it asks some really good questions. So some of the sheets in there are similar to what we put in the first PDF that we put in the chat. And then these things are straight from Business Planning Clinic. It's a really good questions that I ask you to work on your ELBO, your ELBO. So between these two sources that we've put in the chat, you have really good things to work on. And then get some accountability, sit down with a coach and work with a coach on your different parts of your plan. Create your GPS, create your 411 so that you've got a plan of action that you're following every single day or every single week or every single month, okay? That's the basics of what I wanted to share with everybody today. Does anybody have any wrap-up questions for me?
Yeah, the material that you were talking about that was that you put available on here. Is that available another way? Can it be emailed? Because like PDFs that are usually shared over Zoom don't appear to be available to me when I'm on a mobile device.
Oh, you're okay.
Like
Yeah.
Google Docs seem to work just fine, but whenever
Robbie, Jenny, and Deepak was here, and then Tina, and then Alexis. Was there anybody else, Abigail, that was in the class?
None, Laura.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and for anybody who's watching this as a recording later, you'd have to email to me to get this info. But I have the two different things that I was talking about here that I will email to you guys. These were the two handouts that were put in the chat. Okay, lots of information in here. Any other questions? Do you have any other questions?
I do not.
All right, thanks you guys. Thanks for being with me today. Have a good rest. Go out and win today. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Laura. Have a good one. Bye.